You've survived another week. Thank you for listening, downloading, and supporting the Black Man with a Gun Show podcast. The key word this week is training, and I got two trainers. One, Michael J. Woodland from m-wtactical.com, and a newbie, but somebody that I hope that you hear a lot about in the future. Her name is Marchelle Tigner, out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm just a guy that's been hosting this podcast since 2007. And I try every week to drop something into your consciousness that you don't hear anywhere else in the gun community, like what's affecting us, where we've been, and where we might be headed. I'm doing this all based on my past experiences as a gun rights activist, a firearms trainer, a Christian pastor, a law enforcement officer, a former Marine, a father, and a friend. I know it can sometimes be tough for people like us, but I'm here for you. I get you. Welcome to the show. I'm hoping that you feel good right now because I'm feeling on top of my game right now. I'm in the midst of losing some weight. I am actually working on changing the website. I'm meeting new people all the time. And a lot of these younger folks are inspiring and encouraging the mess out of me. I am feeling good from the energy. Now all I got to do is just trade some of this wisdom and keep it moving. This show is about training, and it wouldn't happen if I hadn't been trained by some of the best in the world. Gives you an appreciation for what's going on. And everything comes back around. You never learn it all. You are always supposed to be increasing your knowledge, learning from even the young people, even folks who have just started might have a new outlook. And this is the case for two of the people that I have around my circle right now, hoping they decide to stay with me a little while so I can glean from them as well.
This portion of the show is sponsored by CrossbreedHolsters.com. Crossbreed Holsters has gained national recognition as a maker of the best and most functional concealment holsters available on the market today. Each holster is handcrafted to ensure your firearm is safe and secure while carrying, combined with the best customer service in the industry. Visit CrossbreedHolsters.com.
Today I want to focus on the word training. I know you got a cool firearm, maybe more than one. But when is the last time you invested in some training? Was it the first basic handgun class that you took? Was it the Mag 40 class that you took with Masad Ayub? Did you get a chance to go to Gun Sight yet? Or train under John Farnham or Rob Pincus, Daniel Shaw, and a host of really professional trainers out there? When was the last class that you took? Now, I know we like talking about gear and guns, but the most important stuff that happens is between your ears. Shooting is a perishable skill. If you don't use it often, you will lose those skills. That's also true of all the great training knowledge that you have. If you don't use it, you will lose it. You will forget. Almost everybody has some weaknesses in some skills. A training program allows you to strengthen those skills so that you can improve for you. This is a life and death thing we're talking about here. If you carry a gun, even in your home, I'm saying you don't even have a concealed carry permit in the place where you live, but you carry at home, there is some stuff that you should know, and you can't get it off a YouTube video. You can't get it online or from a podcast. You're going to have to put in the work. Are you hearing me? I'm going to give you some reminders now. Remember, before practicing with or handling any gun, you and only you are responsible to check and verify that it is not loaded and that it is empty of any ammunition. In the case of a semi-automatic pistol, you got to verify that a magazine has been removed. Even if someone you know and trust tells you or even shows you that it's empty, you have to check it for yourself. Just in case you haven't heard the 4 basic safety rules in a while, let me tell them to you again. Number 1, repeat after me. All guns are always loaded. Number 2, never let the muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. Number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target. And number 4, be sure of your target and what is beyond it. There's more safety rules than that. But these right here can keep you and your friends alive. If you can't follow these 4 basic rules, then you should take your gun back to the store. Becoming familiar with it, its weight, how it works, is a major step toward becoming a responsible gun owner. Having the confidence that comes with knowing what it can do and what you can do comes from training. Don't cheat yourself on this. Don't think because you have a firearm, because you've gone to the range, a static range. Ranges are different. There are indoor ranges. There are outdoor ranges. There are ranges that allow you to shoot 180. There are ranges that allow you with training to shoot 360. Very few of those unless you are military or law enforcement. But training matters. It's very, very important. Practicing with your firearm makes you better, makes you safer, makes you more responsible. It ups your capability and your skills. You can't get that way on the couch. You can't get that way looking at a magazine. You can't get that way listening to the Black Man with a Gun Show podcast. If you live in and around the city, you're an urban shooter, you probably only have the choice of going to a range. Understand that is a limiting thing, that you can only shoot once the firearm is out. You can't shoot from the holster. You can't shoot in different positions. You're not challenged. Know that you are limited. If that's the only way you shoot, if you don't shoot at multiple targets, if you don't shoot in low light, if you don't shoot with your non-writing hand, you're not practicing to your full extent. You need more time on the gun to safely manipulate your firearm, to reload quickly and safely, to shoot accurately, to shoot quickly, to draw from a holster, to shoot multiple targets, to shoot one-handedly, to shoot moving targets, to shoot while moving, to work in low light. You get it? There's 3 parts that should be an ongoing relationship with you as a firearms owner. Constant instruction. Got to get your skills up. I know you started and you have that basic shooting class. You got to keep moving. Secondly, dry fire practice. Dry fire is a generic term for practicing at home with an unloaded gun. Doesn't necessarily mean pulling the trigger. It can be practice reloads, drawing, and other skills that you need. Gun handling. Now, you might think not much can be accomplished by practicing with an empty gun, but the fact is, you can. A lot of the champions shoot with dry fire. I practice dry fire. You can develop proficiency with your motor skill. So by the time you go to that static range, you don't have to worry about that you didn't practice drawing from a holster. You did it a lot in your basement, underneath the washer in the dryer. Never fired from concealment. You can rip up a whole bunch of buttons and tear your shirts up like I do down here, trying different things, trying different holsters, trying different stances. And then by the time you go to that static range, you can go ahead and just shoot. Save your time. Which brings back to live fire. You got to put in the time. But don't try to combine the two. Dry fire can kill. A lot of people who accidentally shot stuff, even experienced people, did so because they combined the two. They got bored, tried to shortcut something, and they loaded their firearm and wanted to go back into dry fire mode again. You got to be really, really judicious with this thing. Really, really paying attention, on top of your game. Have you ever shot steel, bowling pins, clay targets, ping pong balls tied to a string, balloons with water or paint in it, exploding stuff? Yeah, there is a lot to do out there, and you won't find it sometimes in an urban environment. I'm asking you to start considering saving up some cash for a trip or two, at least once or twice a year. You get a chance to actually meet some other people outside of your norm. Yeah, it's important. Try to practice with live rounds at the range at least once a month with your defensive handgun. with a minimum of 1 box of 50. Make it a date. Make it special. Your life depends on it. One of the things I used to do when I had my classes is I would have simulated night shooting, and I would have everybody bring in their cheap sunglasses. And if you didn't have any, we'd go to the $5 store, Five Below, the nearby dollar store, and buy a pair of really dark sunglasses. And we all wear them and then shoot. You know that most of the shootings are going to occur at 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It's not going to be in a well-lit range or outside. It's going to be in dark. It's going to be shadows. Going to have to develop good stance, good grip, all the marksmanship basics, and your sight's going to be limited. Yeah. See? That's just one of the few things you can do in an indoor range. Shooting still is fun. Don't think that I'm trying to make it not fun, but make it safe and make it real. And when you're looking for an instructor, be careful, because there's a whole lot of people out here with their shingle out saying that they are high speed, low drag, and the next best thing since popcorn. I might have to get into a whole episode of just about trainers, because there's a lot of people who make me shake my head. And I try not to be disparaging or negative. I just don't recommend them, and that should be a hint. And I will say that this is just my opinion. You can take it like a fish sandwich. You can take the meat and leave the bones. You can leave the part that you don't want to eat. But I'm hoping that something that I said made sense and was tasty. And this week we got 2 trainers. The first is my friend and brother, Michael J. Woodland, owner of m-wtactical.com. Big Mike, you're up, buddy.
Thank you, Ken, and welcome to another Tips and Review segment. I am Michael Woodland of m-wtactical.com, and today we're going to discuss the continuation of the speed and accuracy drill.
Yeah, I got myself a gun. Yeah, I got myself a gun.
Last week, Stephen Campbell of Charleston, South Carolina contacted me and wanted to do some shooting. So we arranged a date, went out and did some refining with shooting. Before we decided to pack up, I wanted to do this drill we spoke of the week before on the podcast with 3 magazines having 5 rounds each, shooting at 3 targets with the goal of being in the 5-second round. That day was the first attempt of doing this drill, where my time was 9:13. A few days ago, I was determined to get my time in the 5-second round. So I contacted my buddy, Johnny King, and I put it out there. Let's go to the range. I think he knew what was on the plate. When we got to the range, we just did a few warm-up shots and went right into the drill. It took about 7 tries before hitting the 5-second mark. When we were recording and shooting, we were discovering ways to complement my movements to be more efficient. We were tweaking with hand placements on reloads, slowing down a tad bit, as well as breaking an old habit of using my support hand to release the magazine from an old injury. My discovery on this drill is that reloading of the magazines is going to be your bread and butter. If you are like me and want to master this drill, you have to practice. Every drill, from sight alignment to smooth trigger pulls to magazine reloads into the firearm, everything is beneficial in this process. Get your reps in and meet the time hack. A few people have contacted me about the video I put up of meeting the 5-second round and asked were there hits. Yes, they were all hits, and I referenced people to look at the dirt splatter to see the grouping. The next time I do this drill, I will show the target with the hits after I shoot it. If I can get my hands on some more steel, I will do it on there as well. If you are attempting to do this drill, send me a video and show me your progress. I will be more than willing to critique it for you and give you some tips that will help you out in the journey of meeting your time hack. The top 3 video submissions will receive a gift that will be mailed to them from Munitions and Weapons Tactical. Tune in next week as we tackle another area of marksmanship for another Tips and Review segment. Thank you for all those who follow and support the M-W Tactical Facebook page. If you haven't done so, look us up on Facebook and hit the like button and join in on the many discussions that are taking place. We are trying to reach our goal of 2,000 likes before the end of the year. Tell your buddies to get on Facebook and hit the like button on the M-W Tactical Facebook page. If you are more into photos, follow me on Instagram at MJ Woodland, where you can get an up-close and personal involvement of my daily life and involvement at a shooting range. If you would like to read more about us, do so by going to www.m-wtactical.com, where you can easily connect with us on any of the previously mentioned social platforms while looking at pictures, viewing future classes, emailing us, or even listening to the current week of the Black Man with the Gun podcast. For those who want a more direct approach, just call us at 803-250-1256. Leave a message and we will get back to you so we can discuss whatever is on your mind, from shooting classes or just inviting us out to come to your upcoming event. Until next week, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun. Back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Michael. And to Jay-Z and to Nas, I'm hoping that you don't hate on me too bad for using that clip. But we are fans, man, so don't sue me. I ain't got no money to give a brother. One of my longtime friends is now a member of the board of directors for the National Rifle Association, and her husband just wrote a book back in January, published it, called Tabula Rosa. And I took a long time before I cracked that thing open. I'm just a little bit too ADD right now to want to sit down and read. But I had a chance on last Sunday to crack open the book, and man, was I surprised. The book doesn't really tell you much from the cover until you start reading some of it. The way it started off, I thought it was just another conservative written fictional story kind of thing. But man, it took off like a roller coaster and left me in the dust from where I was. And I'm having a good time reading it now. I'm not going to tell you about the story, but it's good. It's called Tabula Rosa. And I think the Greek for that is actually means blank slate. So check out Tabula Rosa. I'll have a link to it in the show notes for this episode. And hats off to Brother Dave Heil, the author. And thank you, Maria, for allowing me to check it out. I'm going to finish it probably this weekend. Tabula Rosa by D.E. Heil, spelled H-E-I-L. You can find it in Amazon. There'll be a link to it on the show notes. This portion of the show has been brought to you by the United States Concealed Carry Association. The USCCA has been providing education, training, and self-defense insurance to responsibly armed Americans since 2003. Join Tim Schmidt and myself here at usconcealedcarry.com. One of the things I'm going to start doing in the next couple of months is media training. There are quite a few new spokespeople in the gun movement, especially people of color, that are getting the microphone thrust in their face because they've acknowledged that they are Second Amendment advocates and they're getting to know this whole community we've been a part of for a minute. The negative part is they're allowing the media to direct their words. Yeah. Very important thing. You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. You got to know when to shut up and when to say what your message is, not what they ask you. But one of my discoveries this week was actually to contact with a young lady who is a firearms instructor. First time she's making it a business out of it. She is the real deal. She is nice. She is respectful. I liked her so much I wanted to bring her home to meet my son. I don't mean any disrespect to her boyfriend. I just liked her that much. Like Michael, she's an Army vet, and she has a business out of Atlanta, and she's trying to reach women of color, and she's trying to just do her thing. She has a mission. She has a passion. Hear this conversation of laughs and information from a different perspective. You may have seen her on Coleon Noir show. You may have seen her on BET Live. But you'll hear her here, maybe a little different, next. This week, I got a special guest. Well, all my guests are special because I got the best community in the world. It's the people who realize that freedom isn't free and that we're all in this thing together. Marchelle Tigner, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Founder of Trigger Happy Firearms Instruction out of Atlanta, GA. That's really cool, lady.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a very long road.
How long you been doing this?
Well, I've actually been teaching since January of 2016. But I started my company in November of last year, and then I actually have been holding classes since February of this year.
Rocking right along.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been growing really, actually quite rapidly, but it took a lot to get to this point.
So what kind of classes do you teach?
So I teach basic handgun classes, focused on self-protection. I want everyone to feel comfortable with a firearm in their hands, even if it's just from a safety aspect. Like, I want to know what to do if I see a firearm or if I ever needed to use one, and not necessarily pushing everyone to become a gun owner. It's not made for everyone to own a firearm or carry one around, but at least they need to know the safety.
For real. What's your background in firearms, if you got any?
Well, I was in the Army National Guard for 7 years. About 3 of those years were active, and I started shooting pistols before I deployed to Kosovo. It was a non-combat deployment, and they wanted us to carry pistols on our person, and I carried for an entire year. I felt comfortable with it, and when I got home, I was like, well, I've been doing this for the last year. I want to keep carrying. I feel more comfortable that way. And then a year after that, I started working at a gun range and started shooting more and fell in love with it, honestly. I fell in love with shooting. And then also I went ahead and got my NRA pistol certification so that I can go ahead and teach people how to shoot and, know what I'm talking about when I'm teaching.
Outstanding. How has been your reception so far?
I'm kind of getting mixed feelings. So some people are like, yay, this is great. Women are learning how to defend themselves. That's awesome. And then I get comments from the other side. People are like, well, I don't know if that's such a good idea because we feel like women are unstable and, emotional creatures and can't de-escalate a situation. And I'm like, that's completely false. And then, I market towards women of color and African-American women. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you teach everyone? And, my response is I do teach everyone. I teach everyone how to shoot. Anyone who signs up for my class is welcome. I just wanted to make sure that women of color knew that they were welcome here because it's not common for anyone to be marketing firearms, to women of color especially.
You're knocking it out. I mean, people know who you are now. You're getting popular. I mean, all the cool kids know who Tig is.
I think that's awesome. I mean, I really just want to spread the message. And, I've been getting a lot of feedback, and more of it has been positive than negative. And that's a good thing because it's really all about the message and not so much about me, but about being, responsible for your self-protection.
Why is this so important to you? What happened?
It's extremely important to me because I'm a sexual assault survivor, and I was also in an abusive relationship. So I think from that aspect, I want women to know that sometimes the person who saves your life is you. You can't always depend on someone else to be in charge of your safety. Police officers, when you call 911, they're minutes away, and, you only have that couple of second window sometimes to defend your life. What are you going to do? A restraining order is just a piece of paper. I can't throw that at a man that's attacking me. I have to be able to defend myself. So that's why it's extremely important for me because I don't want to see another woman become a victim. I mean, if I can prevent one attack, with one of my classes, I'll be happy for the rest of my life.
That's good stuff right there. When you shoot now, what do you shoot for fun?
For fun, I'm a Glock girl. I'm a huge fan of Glocks. So I love my Glock 19 and my Glock 43. When I worked at the range, though, they had Class 3 weapons, so they had fully automatic machine guns. And I think my favorite was probably the H&K G36. It's probably my favorite machine gun.
And people are going crazy in the background.
Like, what? She knows what that is? Like, yes, I do. And it's one of my favorites.
That's what I'm talking about. You gotta be a Glock person from Georgia.
I know, they're right here. And I've actually been up to Glock, before I started teaching, and I was like, wow, this is like around the corner. And they're so friendly up there. I love their customer service. I can send my stuff up there to be cleaned or worked on or fixed, and they're always more than happy to do so.
Good stuff there. What's your goal? What's the end game for you?
I have two major goals. The one is to teach 1 million women how to shoot. I don't know how I came up with that number, to be honest. I think one night I was just like, yeah, 1 million. That sounds something like, what I would want to do. I'm
1
not even
million.
sure. Yeah, I'm not even sure if that's humanly possible. But you know what? I'm going to try. I'm only 25. I have so many years ahead of me to keep doing this. So, yeah, 1 million women. That's my goal. And then the second goal is to open a gun range here in the Atlanta area. I think that's important because, to my knowledge, I only know of 3 black-owned gun ranges in the country, and I don't think any of them are black women. So I'll be one of the first, if not the first, to ever do it. And I think that's important for representation. Like when women go into gun ranges, I want them to be like, oh, well, a woman owns this, so I know I'm going to be treated with respect and fairly, and everyone is welcome, and I feel comfortable here.
Our community is pretty cool, but there are some knuckleheads in it. And
right.
When you run into them, what do you hope to accomplish when you come across those rascals?
I've gotten a lot of knucklehead comments, and, even when I worked at the range, they were kind of like, oh, you're a woman, you don't know what you're talking about, or, oh, you're a black woman, you definitely don't know what you're talking about. But honestly, I showed them, like the biggest thing that I can do is show you. So instead of just telling you, oh, I know what I'm talking about, I'm, an actual instructor, like, no, take me seriously, is I'll just go record myself doing a class and post some videos or some clips of one of my classes. Or if I'm in the range and they're like, you can't shoot, I'll just shoot. I'll get a business card and I'll put it up there and put it out at like 15 yards or something ridiculous and shoot it. And they're like, wow, she hit that tiny business card at 15 yards? Like, wow, that's pretty cool. And it just, after that, the respect is there. And then they stop with the knucklehead comments. That's
good. Good stuff. That's smart for you guys that are talking smack or thinking about it right now. To slow your roll.
Right. Like, I'm not just a pretty face. Like, I can actually shoot. And I promise you, I will never pose in a photo with anything that I haven't shot or don't know how to shoot.
Ooh, that's some bold stuff right there. Talk stuff,
yeah. Because people are always like, well, I see her in the picture with the AR, but does she actually know what to do with it? Like, yes, I carried one around for years. Like, I had to qualify every year with that same weapon. So, yes, I do know how to use it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. When's your next class?
My next class is actually this weekend, May 20th in Atlanta. So I'm doing 2 classes, a basic handgun class, the 101, and then I'm doing a 102 class this Saturday.
First, when you said 101, I thought you meant 121, but you're just talking about your basic level.
Right. My basic class, it's a 2-hour class. It just goes over the very fundamentals, stance, grip, aim, breath control, trigger control. And we spend the first hour in the classroom talking about that and safety. And then the second hour, we're down in the range shooting. And then the 102 class, it's a little bit more advanced. We go into the specifics of the laws here in Georgia, which is really important to know. I have U.S. Law Shield come out, and, they have a representative who speaks about what you can and cannot do in the state. We talk about the different calibers of firearms and the differences between them, and then we go down in the range and they shoot 4 different caliber firearms and 4 different types of firearms so they can kind of decide for themselves what they want to buy.
Have you found that breaking your classes down into smaller, bite-sized pieces has been better than having like one whole day of 4, 8, or 12 hours?
I think that is the best way to do it, a 2-hour block of instruction. For a new shooter, new shooters get really overwhelmed really fast. So if you give them 8 hours of class, they have forgotten the safety rules by the time you get to the 7th hour, or they have forgotten stance, by the time you get to the end where they actually get to shoot. My generation, I'm 25, we are not the best at keeping our attention spans up. We're in
preach,
like the microwave. we're in the microwave, society now where everything is instant and everything is so quick and easily accessible. So having someone sit down for 8 to 12 hours is like, it's impossible. Like that, they're never going to retain that information.
Now, I got people listening right now going, I might have to change what I'm doing.
Right. And from a business aspect, if you break it down, you're going to have repeat customers. They're like, okay, well, they gave me the first 2 hours, which is safety and basics, and then the second 2 hours, which is, the laws and the differences, and then the third 2 hours, which is getting familiar with the holster. You break it down like that as a business person, it makes it easier for you because you can have smaller classes. And, again, like I said, you have repeat customers. I got students who took the 101 class 3 times before they felt comfortable taking the 102.
You were a little different. You came positive from like step one. I didn't want to do anything other than help you from the beginning. I mean, there wasn't anything I had to be cautious about I just wanted to promote you and make you do well.
I really appreciate that. I mean, in this world, we really have to look out for each other, especially from an instructor standpoint. There's so many instructors out there who are like, this is my territory and this is mine and you can't come here. And I'm like, it's so much better when you just join each other. I've worked with NAG and I've worked with other instructors and other organizations to spread the message. At the end of the day, we all have the same goal. We all want people to be responsible gun owners. Why can't we just work together?
Why can't we just get along?
I know. Why can't we just get along? Why do we have to have that crabs in a barrel mindset? Me helping you helps me.
For real.
It's really easy.
We've talked about a lot of stuff that probably everybody always asks you. Nobody ever asks you this question.
I think nobody ever asked me, like, my fears as far as with this company. Like, what was I afraid of or what were some things that I wanted to avoid?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important to know is because, one, I'm not an expert at this business thing, and I failed a million times before I got here. I mean, when I first started, I sent out maybe 100 emails to different ranges, and I got no's. I got like 70 range who was like, no, we don't want you to come here. You're not a good instructor, or, simply we have our own classes. We don't need you. I mean, people don't really talk about the failures, and that was one of my biggest fears is that what if I quit my job in January of this year, and I was like, what if I quit my job, jump out there, and then I don't succeed? What do I do then? And that was probably my biggest fear. And that was something that I wanted to try to avoid because this is something that I'm passionate about. But, I've learned that in business and in life, sometimes failure is what you need. Sometimes you need to fail in order to succeed at something else that you were meant to do. I mean, I failed at 100 other jobs and business ventures, and then I stumbled upon this one. And I failed at those other jobs and business ventures because that's not what I was meant to do. So I think that's important for people to know, like, I didn't just walk into this and everyone was like, yes, we want to support you. Like, no, I got a lot of people who were like, no, that's a terrible idea. No, we're not going to support you. No, we hate what you're doing. Even other instructors. No, you're doing terrible things. So, yeah, it's not a cakewalk.
Wow. You wouldn't know that you're only 25 with what you just said.
Well, I've been through some things. Like my grandma says, that wisdom supersedes your age.
Yeah, that's no joke. Trigger Happy Panda. The logo's cool.
Yeah, that's my logo. Thank you. A local artist here in Atlanta named Jody Markers made that for me. He's a black artist here in Atlanta. And people always ask me, like, why a panda? And I'm like, I just like pandas. I don't. I woke up one day and was like, you know what? It's going to be a panda, and it's going to have a rifle and a pistol in his hand. Like,
that's right.
I don't have any super deep reason why I chose that logo.
No, doesn't matter. Loss is yours.
But yeah, and then the trigger happy, I get asked that every once in a while, like, why trigger happy? That seems kind of abrasive, And I'm like, no, it's not literal. It's not literal. People think it's literal, like, oh, she's trigger happy. She likes to shoot. I was calling myself trigger happy before I even started this business. And what that meant was I'm one of the people in this world who like to pull the trigger on an idea or, an opportunity instead of waiting around and, weighing all of my options, to the 10th power. I really just try it out and see. Like, anyone who knows me for real knows that I'm not afraid to take risks and jump out there. Like, I'll move to Texas tomorrow and not say anything. And I've literally done that twice. Like, just because I follow wherever my heart takes me, and that's what trigger happy means. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger on that decision. Just do it. I mean, life's short. I mean, we're all going to die anyway. You might as well just try it. The worst thing that can happen is you fail, and then you go do something else.
Man, you talking now, boy. Go ahead, girl. Talk that stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just we spend so much time weighing options and being on the fence and, you know, trying to decide or trying to make a decision. It's like you wasted all that time. You wasted 40 years trying to decide if you wanted to buy that house or, you know, move to that city or, you know, start that business. Just do it. Just do it. And the worst thing that can happen is that you fail and then you do something else. So what? It's okay. It's okay to fail. Just jump out there, pull the trigger, just do it.
That's a good philosophy right there.
Thank you.
People your age, your classes are made up of what demographic usually?
Mostly they're women between the ages of 30 and 55, I would say. I don't want to judge anyone's age, but yeah, between 30 and 55. I haven't gotten a lot of the younger women in my classes yet, but they're coming. They're coming slowly but surely. They don't necessarily see self-defense as a necessity at this point. Which I understand. Before I was assaulted, I didn't see self-defense as a necessity. I didn't care about my personal safety, like, at all. But, you know, I want to reach out to them and say, hey, I'm young, I'm doing this, you can do it too. And it's not just something that you should take lightly or do after the fact, after you've been assaulted or something has happened. I want you to do it beforehand so that you don't get in that situation.
Why do you think people under 30 are not focused on it yet?
I mean, I think there's just so many other things that we're focused on in our 20s and our mid-20s. We're focused on boys, we're focused on parties and hanging out, and like we're kind of in that age where we think we're untouchable. I mean, but like I said, before I was assaulted, I thought, oh, that will never happen to me. You know, I would watch Law and Order and I would see these girls getting assaulted and getting beat up in abusive relationships, and I was like, oh, that's just TV. That'll never happen to me. And then it happened to me. And I was like, wow, like, this is a reality check. And people in our 20s, we kind of have that mentality that we're untouchable. Like, oh, we can go out here and not tell anyone where we're going or, you know, not carry a self-defense weapon or, you know, just walk around on our phones all day looking down and not being aware of our surroundings. And, you know, that's an issue, and we kind of have to break that, and we need to instill it in our children, too, like, hey, you are responsible for your safety, so we need to start them young and teach them.
Man, I'm about to bring you home for Christmas.
It's so funny.
Your website is triggerhappypanda.com?
Yes, triggerhappypanda.com, and don't laugh at me too hard. I made that website completely by myself. Like, I don't have a graphic designer or anybody. So if you're like, this website is janky, just know that it was done by me. It's not a professional job.
It's fine. It's fine.
Thank you. And people are always like, well, who's your assistant or who helped you make that? And I'm like, no, it was me. Like, I'm the only full-time employee. So, like, if you send an email and you didn't get a response, that's all my fault. There's nobody else to blame. It's just me.
I understand. I totally get it. We're separated by birth. We're like related. I know exactly what you're going through and what you're doing. So I applaud you from this side.
I appreciate it. I mean, and like I said, it's always good to have positive support and people that help you out. I mean, like my mom, she calls herself my employee because she helps out with my classes on the weekends.
All right. And
my boyfriend, he helps out, and one of my friends, Chris, he's another instructor that helps me work when I'm doing the classes. So it's like, it's like more of like a family and friend thing versus like a real company, and I'm not like a real CEO and all that.
Yes, you
are. It's just like a family mission.
That's good though. That's how you succeed.
Yeah, keep it all in the family, keep it all close. I mean, and that's what I'm appreciative of because, like, I don't have actual employees. Like, if I ask my sister, like, hey, sis, can you help me with this email? She's like, sure. And she has a whole full-time job, and, like, I'm appreciative of them taking out the time to help me with my dream and, you know, my goals. they've always been the people there that supported me from day one. So when I get big, I'm gonna make sure I support them in some major ways.
Tell me about Mom. Mom sees her daughter go off to the Army. That was probably a shock, right?
Well, it wasn't. I'm actually her third child who went off to the Army. So my older sister, she went first. She was a medic in the Army, and she was active duty. And then my brother, 2 years behind her, he went, and he was in chemical, also active duty Army. And then, they're 17 years and 19 years older than me. So 20 years later almost, I'm like, all right, Mom, I want to join the Army like my brother and sister. And she's like, okay, well, I'm not new to this, so I'm used to it. Just let me know your basic training graduation is. And, and she was there. And, yeah, Mom's always been there. So I'm her third Army child. And, my father was in the military as well. So we're just a whole military family here.
All right, cool. So then when you got out and you decided to go for yourself with this, how was Mom?
Mom was extremely supportive. I mean, this is the thing about my mom. I can tell her, Mom, I want to be an underwater basket weaver. And she'll be like, all right, well, what do we need to do? Like, what do we need to talk to? And I'm like, really, Mom? Like, she'll support me no matter what.
Oh, man.
And
what a good
mom.
Yeah,
she is. I can tell her anything. Like, Mom, you know what? I want to cut grass for a living. She'd be like, all right, well, I got a lawnmower, and, how much do you need? Like, so, I'm appreciative of her. I mean, I'm so lucky and thankful because everybody doesn't have parents that support them in every endeavor, and I'm thankful that I do. I have people no matter what. So, yeah, my mom is awesome. She deserves the world.
All right, you got classes this weekend, and you got some classes coming up even in the future past that. What you got?
Yes, so I'm actually working on a 10-city tour right now. The first city that we've announced for the tour is Orlando. It's actually Apopka outside of Orlando, but it's going to be July 1st. The registration link is on my website, triggerhappypanda.com, and so I'm doing that. And then in June, I'm doing classes here in Atlanta. June 4th, we have a women's handgun 101 and 102, so you can get the basics and then more advanced. And then June 10th, we're doing our very first concealed carry class. So I'm working with Cause and Effect Tactical Solutions. They're some of my Army friends, and we're putting on this class outside. Real slow, really good for beginners. So those are my classes coming up, and they're all on my website.
Outstanding. So folks can reach you. All the information, all your contact stuff is at triggerhappypanda.com.
That is correct. All my social media, my personal email, and you can register for all the classes and see every class date there. And then you can subscribe to the website to get all of the tour details. So every city we're going to will be on that website also.
All right, cool. Anybody want to shout out before I let you go?
My photographer, Courtney Jefferson. So all the photos you see of me with the guns and in the RBG shirt, Courtney Jefferson took those photos. And then Dexter Peggins is another instructor. He's here in Atlanta. He's helped me out so much, and we're doing a hand-to-hand combat class for self-defense on June 3rd here in Atlanta. So those two guys are definitely extremely helpful to me, and I just want to shout them out really quickly.
Oh, that works. Again, this has been my new friend, Tig, from triggerhappypanda.com. You will find her at Trigger Happy Firearms Instruction. She's out of the South. She's one of the best of the South, and I'm just real happy to call her a friend.
Oh, thank you so much, and likewise.
I got to tell you, I got some really cool people in my community, and they keep me going, just like you do. Thank you for joining me this week. Thank you to Michael. Thank you to Tig. Thank you for taking a time out of your life to listen, to download, and to share this show with somebody else. You know, I got a few people who are actually supporters of this show. We call them patrons, and you can find it at patreon.com/blackmanwithagun. This show is on its 9th year. We hit the Big 10 right after Thanksgiving of this year. And I think as a podcasting entity, it's only going to get better. What I've learned is that you should never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Even an old dog like me can learn from young people. And I have, and that's why I'm still kicking. Albert Einstein said that education is not learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. How cool is that? To all those who are mothers, I wish you a happy belated Mother's Day. To all those who want to be mothers, I'll be praying for you. You got some pretty big shoes to fill. If you just downloaded the app for the first time, I want to welcome you to the Black Man with a Gun show, and thank you for doing so. It's still a free app, and I think we're working on the Android version now, but right now you can get it on iTunes at blackmanwithagun.org. The app allows you to contact me from one spot, and I've been pushing out little messages every other day just to talk to you. So check that out, the Black Man with a Gun app. It's free, and it was developed by a friend. Man, I just feel good right now. I don't even know when to quit. But I'll talk to you next time. And if there's something that you need, something that you want, you can hit me back on the app. You can hit me back on Facebook or on my email address, which is blackmanwithagun@gmail.com. I'm going to ask you that you join my email list so I can get your email. And that's going to be it for this week. Just in case nobody has told you this today, know this as a fact. Ken Blanchard loves you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Until next time, shalom, baby.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, Tig, what do you know about church? Oh, you're a church girl. Oh, my goodness.
Job. I mean, you're in church every day, meetings every day. You got to stand up the whole service. I mean, whew.
You got to watch all the people.
I know. You have to watch everybody. You got to watch the door. You got to make sure communion goes right. And you don't, man, you mess up communion. Yeah, that's it. People are going to talk about you forever.
Oh, so true.
It's so serious. Like, you can't spill the juice. I mean, nowadays they got the little packets where it's a 2-in-1, but back in the day they didn't, right? And you had to pour all that by hand and hand it out.
Now the packets don't want to open up.
Right. And then you have to clean up everything on the floor, cracker juice. Man, gosh. That stuff is stressful. Make sure everyone has a program. Can't run out of programs. You got to have fans for everybody, but don't put the fan over the preacher because we don't want to get him sick, you know?
Yeah.
That's so much. That's so much. Make sure the guest preacher comes in and feels welcome and, you know, their congregation feels welcome and handing out the new member cards. Like,
yeah, you know church all right.
I do. Trust me. Trust me, I know.
Was you a full-fledged usher or a junior usher?
I was a junior usher, and, you know, that in itself made me not be an adult usher just because I was like, that's too much stress. I can't do that. So we only had the junior usher board usher, I think, one Sunday a month. Mm-hmm. So, but that was enough stress for me. That was enough.
Oh, Tig, it's making me laugh.